Welcome back, focused learners. Okay, so today we've got an explainer that's going to take us on a seriously terrifying chronological ride. We're looking at a chilling narrative called The Shadows of the Silent House, or Sunsan Highway. We're basically going to break down the exact mechanics of fear here. We'll look at how the author masterfully builds a trap using isolation, sensory details, and pure supernatural dread. Let's just dive right in.
Now seriously, I want you to put yourself in these shoes for a second. Imagine you're stranded on a pitch-black highway. It's 2 a.m. The rain is coming down so hard you literally can't see more than a few feet in front of your face. What would you do? Like, where would you turn to survive? This isn't just some spooky hypothetical to set the mood. It's the exact terrifying predicament our protagonist, Aarav, finds himself in right at the start of our source material.
Part 1. The Deserted Highway. The Anatomy of Isolation. What the author does so brilliantly right out of the gate is systematically strip away every single modern safety net we rely on. They don't just toss Aarav to the wolves immediately. At 2:13 a.m., he's literally just a guy riding his bike through a forest in heavy rain. It sucks, sure, but it's manageable. But then, just minutes later, his phone battery completely dies. Boom. His one lifeline to the world is gone. And moments after that comes the final blow. His bike suddenly shuts down. He's kicking it over and over, but nothing. Dead. So in the span of maybe 5 minutes, he goes from a traveler making his way home to someone utterly isolated and stranded in the pitch dark. And then, out of the absolute darkness, he spots something. A pale yellow light deep in the dark forest, framed by these moving red curtains. The source text uses this specific visual so well, because to a freezing, stranded guy, a warm yellow light is a beacon of hope, right? But, as we're about to see, this is a completely false beacon. It's literally the bait in the trap.
Part 2. The Mysterious House, the Illusion of Safety.
So Aarav walks up and knocks. For a few seconds, just dead silence. Then the door slowly creaks open, and there's an old woman. In this slow, hushed whisper, she tells him, "Come in, son. It's not right outside." The irony here is just thick. She's warning him about the storm, actively framing the inside of her house as a safe haven. But the danger waiting inside those walls? Oh, it's infinitely worse than catching a cold in the rain.
Right away, the author starts dropping massive environmental red flags to build up this pervasive sense of dread. The house isn't just visually creepy, it's a total assault on the senses. First off, there's this strange, foul odor just hanging in the air. Then you look around, and the walls are completely covered in old photographs. But when you look closer, every single face in those pictures has been violently scribbled out, blacked out. Oh, and the woman who let him in? The text specifically notes her eyes are pure white, like no pupils at all. So Aarav, who is understandably freaked out by the smell and the faceless photos, asks a perfectly logical question: "Are you alone?" The old woman just smiles, and her response is absolutely chilling. "No, they are here too." Just let that hang in the air for a second. With those 5 tiny words, that whole illusion of safety we just talked about completely shattered.
But wait, if she isn't alone, who or what is up at the top of the stairs? Because literally right after she answers him, the sudden, heavy sound of footsteps starts racing across the floorboards right above their heads.
Part 3. The Entity. The Escalation of Dread.
Aarav looks up at the ceiling, asking who's up there. Immediately, the old woman grabs his hand. Her grip is ice cold, and she gives him this desperate warning: "Don't look up." At this point, Aarav's heart is practically pounding out of his chest. In sheer panic, he grabs his dead phone out of his pocket, desperately hoping it'll magically turn on so he can use the flashlight, get a signal, just anything. And here, the author taps into a very modern kind of terror, technology having a mind of its own. Because suddenly the screen lights up, the completely dead phone turns on all by itself.
But it doesn't just boot up to the home screen. What it reveals is a total stroke of narrative genius. It opens directly to a photograph, a picture of Aarav standing right there in the hallway of that house. But standing on the stairs right behind him in the photo is a tall, completely black figure with solid white eyes. The genius of the source text here is that it uses the phone screen to reveal the monster before Aarav even has a chance to physically turn around. He has to process the sheer panic of seeing his own doom digitally first. He turns in horror, the entity is actually standing right there. And then, the phone dies again.
With the screen pitch black, the descent begins. Thump, thump, thump.
This impossibly tall entity slowly starts walking down the stairs, and you really notice how the pacing of the narrative drastically slows down here to match these heavy, methodical footsteps. There's no rushing. The monster's totally taking its time because it knows its prey has absolutely nowhere to go.
And what about the old woman who told him not to look? Well, she's smiling now. She mutters, after 3 years, it found a new person. Talk about a chilling revelation. This completely changes everything we knew. It exposes her horrific complicity in the whole thing. She isn't some frightened prisoner of this monster, she's the lure. She actively invited him inside just to feed it.
Part 4. The Endless Cycle. The Inescapable Curse. Pure panic takes over. Aarav bolts for the exit, but the front door has completely vanished. It's literally just a solid wall now. The trap is permanently closed, and the dark figure is standing right in front of him.
From there, the narrative cuts super sharply to the grim aftermath. The pacing shifts from this heart-pounding terror to a cold, almost clinical reality. The next morning, Aarav's abandoned bike is found on the side of the highway. Later that day, the rain stops completely. It's perfectly calm weather, which creates this deeply disturbing contrast to the absolute nightmare of the night before. And the final point? Forever. Aarav is never found.
To really hammer home the finality of what happened, we have to think back to the original state of the house's photo wall, the one filled with all those old blacked-out faces. The terrifying update at the end of the text shows a brand new photograph on that wall. It's a picture of a terrified young boy, and his face has been freshly blacked out with dark ink. The source material uses this visual to confirm Aarav's fate without ever having to describe a single drop of violence. He's simply been consumed and added to the collection.
Which leaves us with one incredibly heavy truth. The cycle continues. I really want to leave you with a provocative thought to take away from our explainer today. Think back to that pitch-black highway. Think about the pouring rain, the absolute isolation. How many other stranded travelers, desperately looking for just a little bit of safety in the storm, are eventually going to see that pale yellow light shining out in the dark forest? Well, thank you so much for exploring this chilling narrative with me today. Keep seeking out structured knowledge, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.